Hi there.
And welcome to another one of our horror reviews.
Yes.
I'm Randy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Pearl Part 2.
Yes.
So we just explained that we are doing the X trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So look out for those reviews.
X and Maxine coming up
Yes.
next. Yikes. Well, actually, it is yikes.
Yikes.
This movie is yikes. But it's so beautiful.
It is.
And
even the murder scenes are beautiful.
So, if I might, let's talk about the tone of this movie and what we really think of it for this part. Because I know I was going into the thematics and we kind of stopped. But the antics, whatever you want to call it, this movie, I'd say each movie had a very distinct genre and vibe and feel was going for, which is why I think actually all movies are, debatably so, but all of the movies are pretty close in quality in one way or another. But it's so differentiated in terms of which movie, which person prefers which movie or the audience, because they're all such different movies, which is why I think everyone has different opinions on which movie they prefer. This one is much more drama, soap opera, slasher in the sense of it being a psychological horror. And then I'll kind of get into the themes of what I think the other two are. But this one is much more of a psychological soap opera drama horror.
Like, if you want to rate the three, like, on a slasher level,
I
would say that Pearl is the second one.
Yeah, X is the
most. Actually, I'm sorry. Pearl's the softer one.
Not the softer one. I think that's Maxine.
You think so?
Well, okay. Pearl, do you mean soft in what way, though?
Like, the tone of the movie.
I don't think so.
Like, I think this is more Disney-esque.
No, it's not softer.
Besides the murder.
I think Maxine is the softest.
You think so? I think Maxine's gritty.
Maxine's gritty, but it's not as dark and morbid as this movie.
No.
I think they covered LA murders and they talk about real life. They talk about the real life Night Stalker, but this movie, the way they show madness, like this movie is a mind in the madness. That's how I describe Pearl. It's into the mind of madness.
It is, but like up until her first kill,
it's
a Disney movie.
She kills a duck in the beginning. That's how it starts.
Oh my gosh! It's just a duck. I mean,
it's a goose. She kills a goose on the farm. And that's not a big
deal
to you?
It's the start of her psychological journey.
That doesn't bother you that she kills a goose?
I mean, I feel bad for the goose.
What are you doing here, Mr. Goose? Pitchfork. Hey, Theta! And then eats, and then just
to the crocodile.
Yeah, that's not funny. I mean, it's like this movie is really honestly like
It's a great movie.
It's this movie's all on the eyes of Pearl. It's the reality aspects of Pearl and also what she sees in her head. Because honestly, the times where the movie seems dark is when she actually perceives it to be dark. When she perceives it to be humorous and campy, that's when it actually gets campy at times. But this movie is never 100% like comedy or lighthearted.
No.
It's not light to me. I don't think this movie's light at all. I would say this movie's genre-wise, they're all a little bit different. This one is a soap opera, drama, horror, psychological slasher. And it is very much of a character study as well. It's first-person based, and it's all solely based around this character. She is the sun that this movie orbits.
Yeah.
The whole journey, the entire time, from start to brutal, disturbing and
boy does she
depressing ending
out of that farm.
She does. She will do anything for it, and when she kills to try to get this movie. I think one of the parts that makes this movie so bad is you know how it's going to turn out. If you've seen X first, you know you know how this is going to turn out. She's so determined that she's going to be even more upset and crumble even more when she doesn't get her dreams. And this is the start of her not liking blondes. And X, she hates blondes, and she doesn't like Brittany Snow because she's a blonde, and blondes have that X factor, as they call it, that ability. In fact, I'm going to carry that blonde thing into Maxine because there is actually a blonde thing in this trilogy as well. There's a thing with blondes. I'm not going to say exactly how it metamorphs in each movie, but there's this thing with blondes, and they have an X factor, and they have that star quality. There's something all American about it, and you know, if you think about what
I told you I wanted a Howard movie.
yes, and
The way that this movie ends,
well,
like with Howard showing up, like
yeah,
what would happen? Or
yes,
how does it lead to the events of X? You know
yes.
what I'm saying?
Oh, I do, but yeah, I mean, when it doesn't go her way, it ends up just being a bloodbath, and she goes after everyone with an axe, with a pitchfork. She has a lot of moments where she just outright screams too, and beautifully.
Oh my gosh!
Like her screams are like they make your skin quiver. They're just like they hit the right frequency, and I'm not saying you have to be scared of them, but they make you feel like they're just riveting. This movie's so riveting, and it's sort of like a Disney ride, and it is kind of campy, but not campy. It's just it's like a warped cartoon in live action. It's like a warped animated film in live action.
Yeah.
It's like almost as close as I think maybe as we could get to like maybe a slasher cartoon live action vibe. I don't know how to describe that any better. It feels like she could be a cartoon character which is brought into the real world. And her transition to X is flawless. All three of these movies have a great job interlinking and working together while still feeling like separate films.
And even with this cast, like the cast is still good.
It is still a really
it's a solid cast.
It's still a great cast. All three films have great casts. That is one thing. The acting in each movie is
I think the acting
top notch.
I think the acting in X and Pearl are better than Maxine. But
maybe, but I think Maxine.
Because Maxine had such short-lived scenes with showing so many people.
Maybe I will also say, well, I'll get into that later in the
We'll get into
movies.
that, yeah.
But I think actually all three movies had great casts and great acting. But this one had a very regal feel to it, a very old-fashioned blockbuster vibe, very just suit and tie, but also feeling like it gets out of suit and tie at times and gets completely that shit all over the place. And I think that's why I love this movie. It's so unhinged, but it also tries to keep itself so coy with us the entire time, and cannot do that. And I think also it, without having to get into the full raunchiness of X, it does discover that kind of like that interest, that peek into like, and her taboo interest with adults content, I'll say. And I think that's kind of interesting as well because it shows her morbid curiosity. I don't want to say morbid, not at all morbid actually. Her curiosity in terms of sexual interest, and her promiscuity. That's the word I want to look for. Promiscuity. So this movie discovers that in very crazy, outlandish ways that are just almost spine-tingling with the scarecrow and her, getting on that scarecrow and riding it like.
No tomorrow. Like
Seabiscuit, but it's a good movie. I give this movie a 5 stars. It's a great movie, A+ all the way, and
5 stars.
This and X especially, but all 3 movies. I love this trilogy as I'm obsessed with it.
But on a rating scale, unfortunately,
this is our unfortunately.
Our next review is the top one.
That's not unfortunate. I think honestly both these movies I could argue. I can see anyone saying any of these movies are their favorite. My favorite is X by we're talking minuscule margins. And for the longest time it was and honestly I think these I could go back and forth between X and Pearl a lot because they're both really high like almost neck and neck for me. I think X just had a little bit more to offer and a little bit more of a variety, which I liked, and I'll get into that in our X reviews. But this movie, absolutely outstanding. All global nomination performance for Mia Goth and Ty West on this trilogy. Kudos to them for making this happen. So and to A24. Love these movies and I'm so excited to continue forward.
And like and follow for more.
Thanks for watching.
X is coming up.
Yes.